Whereas if we think about aggregators or virtual power plants, they need to and they have to be integrated much more along on the full value chain of existing electricity markets. And therefore, you need a lot more expertise and skills. You need to have that regulatory knowledge. You need to have those kind of business liabilities that would underpin a business model there. Or you need to have the customer support, or you need to have the kind of financial clout to get involved. And so we can start to unpack the reasons why different types of business models can be associated with different groupings, if you like. Does that make sense? Is that an interesting?
Yes, indeed. I see, Ignacio, you were nodding. Does it sound recognizable in your experience? Yes.
Yeah, it's listening to Jacob. It's like our daily life, our daily challenge and our daily success as well. But it's true. I mean, it's the experience of trying different things in a market that somehow is not yet prepared for that, but that want to be prepared for that change. You are somehow working in the front. That's a feeling leading community energy initiatives that when the business model that you are testing, you are the first one testing the business model. So you need to actually go to sometimes to public bodies or policies to explain what you are doing. While with other business models, normally it's the opposite way. They are the ones telling you how you have to do the things. So I'm running a crowd lending platform, which is on the earliest stage of the launch. We launched in March. It's also quite it's complex and exciting at the same time because of the regulatory space. We need to think that crowdfunding is gonna be a potential vehicle for speeding up the democratization of finance towards the energy transition, because it is a way to make renewable energy initiatives mainstream. A crowd lending platform can make a community energy initiative to be spread out through media, and people can invest on it, €20 or €1,000, according to the needs and ambition of everyone. We need much more money than the actual deployment of funding into the energy transition if we want to reach the climate targets. And we're speaking, according to IPCC, of trillions of dollars that are missing. Apparently, this might not be able to be catalyzed only through banks. We need people to invest on that. But people also need to be trained, they need to be engaged, they need to be empowered to invest. Not only to participate, because sometimes somebody might not have the time to be a member of an energy community, but instead of having all the money in the bank, they might see an opportunity to have some of this money into community energy schemes. Why we need community energy is because we need decentralized business models to provide flexibility in the grid, and we need consumers' participation. So yeah, there are many different complexities into this new aspect of the energy transition. I think crowd lending is indeed a way to facilitate that. Regarding also something that Jacob mentioned is the standardization of business models and validation is really important, because although we have many examples at EU level of collective self-consumption, community solar, there are thousands of cooperatives doing different things. Mature energy markets are working on validated business models that can be replicated. And we are, in Greece at least, we're trying to get away of the one-off pilot projects and go more into standardize a process where we use the same tools, we use the same process, so we can scale up, we can leverage the capital, give access to more people with less resources in these schemes. So that's also another challenge that we see on the scale up period of the next years, how we can make these models to be validated and in a way that any other community, just with the toolkit, they can implement it in the same regulatory space and with the same conditions. Yeah, this is a bit from our experience.
Great, Ignacio. Thank you so much for sharing. I see that Andreas has something he wanted to still add.
I still have a comment.
Of course.
Yes, there are new actors in the game that have possible new roles, but I don't think that all of these new actors understand the opportunities. For example, I don't think that Austrian municipalities know about the new opportunities to have. This is my first comment, and my second comment is, what should we do with incumbents? We need to find a role for the existing market players, otherwise they will block the transition. And we are approached sometimes by big Austrian utilities. They ask us, hey, Ioneum Research, what could be our future role? They are lost. And until they haven't found their place, they will not allow the transition. They just have a market power. Well, political power, I would say.
Jacob, I see you. You have also a reflection on top of what Andreas is saying and Ignacio said before.
Yes, I mean, this is where it's starting to get really interesting because there's so much to say. I mean, Andreas's point about incumbents is spot on. And I would only add that they can also play a role stifling change towards energy communities because they are so powerful and they do play a central role in existing systems. So they can both support, be confused, sit in the middle and stifle change. But what I raised my hand to say was just to reaffirm what's kind of been the undercurrent through the debate so far and to also address Goshia's question. So the point to reaffirm is that one of the things I was going to raise is how you've labelled them within the project as the framework conditions, how I think of them within my work as the governance arrangements for energy communities. And I'm thinking of the rules, the regulations, the market frameworks, the rules governing network operation that affect what is possible within electricity systems in particular, because they're so highly regulated. And so Goshia's questions about do rules and regulations, say policies supporting renewables, really help energy communities? I would say undoubtedly yes. But that's because of the way that business models or value in the energy system is created by the rules and regulations. And then business models are a way of capturing that value. So it shouldn't be frowned upon that, say, cooperatives jumped on feed-in tariffs to create a viable business model. They set themselves up and they were playing by the rules of the game and they allowed people to participate. And they would be viable for their project lifetime. The fact that they'll change is unsurprising because the rules and regulations are changing so quickly within the energy system as we decarbonize. And so flexibility markets, there's a potential for demand response, but at the moment the markets are so early in their formation that it's really hard for anyone to find viable value propositions there. You know, we've been quite experimental until people are being experimental, trying to carve out value. But until the regulations move on a bit further, more perhaps local flexibility markets are created, then there'll be opportunities for energy communities, incumbents, startups. And so I'm underlying the kind of importance of the rules, the regulations, the policies as being a really important factor for what's viable for a business model.